Morning, everyone. I'd like to call the PZA meeting together for Wednesday, May 19th. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Featherling?
Here.
Mr. Miller? Mr. Tholen? Mr. Payton? Ms. Peters?
Present.
Mr. Fairfield?
Present.
Mr. Snipes? Mr. Darrell Smith?
Present.
Mr. Swanson? Mr. Dennell? Mr. Eckhoff? Mr. Kirkstra?
Present.
Ms. Bryan?
Present.
Mr. Collins?
Present.
Ms. Hudson?
Present.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler?
Present.
Mr. Seroy? We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We have no public comment today. Everyone got a chance to see the email with the minutes on it from our last meeting from April 21st. Does anyone have any changes they want to make or deletions or anything? If not, we'll entertain a motion to pass. We'll get Mr. Kirkstra and Ray. Mr. Fairfield, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Zoom, we get a roll call real quick. We got 6 there, Kelly.
Ms. Peters?
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up will be the building report. Mr. Skimmerhorn will present that. Number 3. Back at you.
Monthly building report for April 2021 should be in your packet. We issued 98 permits for April, one of those being a new home. Revenue brought in was $24,169. Comparable to 2020 in April, we almost doubled the number of permits for this April. And in April 2020, we had only 54 permits and brought in revenue of $11,058. So pretty much doubled the revenue and doubled the number of permits.
Okay, thanks, Del. That's it. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Skimmerhorn? Okay. I guess we we'll do the building safety and do a roll call on Zoom at the same time. We'll move on and put them both together? No? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead and you can go ahead and do the building report. Right.
Okay. Could we get a motion to approve the building report we got? We get all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And those on Zoom, roll call, please. Was Ray and Mr. Kirkstra, I thought. Oh, okay. Okay. So Mr. Kirkstra get it first and Mr. Fairfield got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
On Zoom, get attendance and roll call.
Ms. Peters?
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, we have a report on our building safety month.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Steve
Okay, Ms. Steve Marion,
talk about
come
that.
up to,
Steve Marion.
where would you like to, come up here or down there? Back there, okay. Go ahead, thanks. All
My
set.
name is Steve Marion. I'm the manager of the Building and Zoning Department of the Planning Department. I'm just going to give a quick update on some of the things that are going on in our division over and above issuing permits and inspecting and code enforcement.
Steve, could you get a little closer to the microphone?
Okay. As you may recall, back in March, you guys at this committee, as well as the full county board, passed a declaration making May Building Safety Month, which is in coordination with the federal ICC National Building Safety Month also that was in May. So in accordance with that, the ICC approved that also, and the ICC, for those of you that aren't familiar, is the governing body that we get our codes from. It stands for the International Code Council. This provides us with some additional resources that we can use to promote Building Safety Month. Obviously this year with COVID, our opportunities were a little bit less than they had been because there wasn't much public to outreach since we were all kind of still locked down a little bit. It's our first year that we've been involved in that proclamation. So next year I'm looking forward to, when things get back to normal, being able to utilize a little bit more of these resources to kind of reach out and do some public outreach to promote the building safety aspect of this. The proclamation also gives us some credits towards a hazard mitigation plan that we have to reestablish every 5 years, and we're in the middle of right now. So this also gives us a little bit of some credentials and some credits with regards to that. We're also in the preliminary stage of updating our codes from the 2015 to the 2021. That will probably not come to fruition until towards the end of next year, with an implementation date of probably spring of 2023. It's kind of a long, daunting process to go through that and learn all the changes, and then some of the restrictions and changes that we make to that national code. So those are a couple of the things that we're working on over and above our normal day-to-day operations. Any questions on anything that I responded to?
Okay, Ms. Bryant?
Have you been able to look at the changes in the code? Are there any new things that need to be, oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
You're good.
Have you been able to look at the changes in the code from 205 to 2021, or 215 to 2021, and see if there are any big major changes that we need to address right away?
I have looked at the preliminaries. There's nothing that stands out.
Steve?
There was a period in time.
I can't hear you, sorry, but I want to make sure it goes on.
Okay,
for everybody.
there was a period in time in which we were 10 years behind in our code implementation, and obviously when we go from the 2003 to the 15, there were some substantial changes. But by keeping up, where every other code cycle we update, we're only going in a 6-year process. The changes are subtle enough where most of them, nothing I've seen so far is going to be some big change that people are going to really be concerned about.
Okay. Ms. Bryant, anyone else? Mr. Steins? No? Okay, anybody on Zoom have any questions? Sorry. I saw you come in, I didn't want to. Okay. Anyone, no, barring no questions, thank you for your presentation.
All right.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next up is planning. We have ZBA case 21-02, a request for rezoning from A1 Agricultural District to RE Real Estate District on a parcel generally situated in Section 10 of Manteno Township. The petitioners are William Bonnick, Trust, property owner, and Corey P. Martin, applicant. Delbert, you were at the meeting for that?
Yes. This is a request to rezone a 5-acre parcel on Manteno Lake Road from A1 Agriculture to RE Rural Estate. If you look at the map on the screen, the 5 acres outlined in red is the parcel in question. It's almost directly across the street from Manteno Lake and the Sportsman's Club. Mr. Martin would like to purchase the property and build a single-family home at that location. In order to do that, the rezoning would be required, as you need 20 acres in the A1 Agricultural District. The 2 properties directly to the west are already zoned rural estate, so we do have a trend of rural estate in that area. Zoning Board of Appeals heard this case on May 10th and voted 4-0 to recommend the approval.
Okay, anyone have any questions about that particular case? We had the information in the packet was included with our stuff for the meeting today. Okay, entertain a motion to approve. Mr. Smith, okay, second. Ms. Bryant, could we get all in favor say or aye in the room?
Aye.
And then we get a roll call on Zoom.
Ms. Peters?
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is the resignation of William Sawyer from the Zoning Board of Appeals. I worked with him several years there. He was on there for quite some time. I don't know how long total he was there altogether, from way back till now. He was there before and came back and came in and out. And I'd like to thank him for his time that he came to all those meetings on Monday nights, and he was there every time. I can say that every meeting I was at, he was at, and he was always had an input. So it's going to be a big loss to the zoning board. But now I can tell you that we have one opening on the Zoning Board of Appeals. If anyone knows anybody interested in that position, I don't know if there's a particular area of the county that we're looking at for this.
Yeah, we can only have 1 member per township.
Per township, okay. So which,
Which township became
Which-
vacated?
Well, Mr. Sawyer was from Rockville,
Rockville?
but there are other townships that we do not have a representative from.
Okay. And that's a Monday night meeting once a month usually. They don't go too long until you get solar farms and wind farms and things like that going on. It takes a little time, but it's
Yeah.
good. So if anybody knows anybody interested in that position, we're gonna make sure that we get quorums. We have to fill the spots right away,
Yeah.
if
We-
possible.
We currently have representation from Sumner Township, Mantino Township, Limestone Township, Pilot Township, and Kankakee Township.
We need someone from Bourbonnais.
Could be Bourbonnais, could be Rockville, could be Janier, Pembroke, any of the other townships.
Mr. Hem was from Bourbonnais, and then he resigned too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So, like I said, if anyone knows anyone, let Delbert know or give me a call, let me know. Next up, we have the Kankakee Historic Preservation Annual Report.
This is in your packet for informational purposes. The Historic Preservation Commission is required to submit an annual report to the county board every year. This is the 2019. If you have any questions on the report itself, Michelle is available to answer any of those questions. Michelle, did you have anything to add?
No, it's just it's an annual report. It's late because of COVID, of course, and it's just a summary of what happened in 19. We did nominate 3 properties in 2019. We will not have a report probably for 20. We will probably combine 20 and 21 due to the fact that I think they only met once in 20. So if anybody has any questions, though, I will be glad to answer them.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Michelle? Ms. Sadler? No questions, Michelle? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a GIS ortho map presentation.
Yeah, Daniel put together a new application for GIS that works with both our existing aerial photography and our historical aerial photography, and he'd like to just demonstrate that for you and show you how to get to it on our website.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Daniel?
Daniel, you there?
Yes, I am.
Turn 'em-
Can you
okay.
hear me?
Kinda.
Okay. Microphone a little closer.
There you go.
All right, so I'm going to start off at the Kankakee County's GIS website, which is k3gis.com. It's recently been updated, and this is a landing page that can direct you to K3 Mapper, the web map that I've demonstrated before this committee before. Today I'm going to take you over to the Open Data Hub that we have. This is built to kind of liaison for our geographic information users to get data that they need about Kankakee County. And this will also reduce the department's load on external web servers, which will save the department a considerable amount of money per month once this is fully up and running and those other servers are deemed redundant. I'm just going to scroll down and take you to the Ortho Compare web map. On the way, you can see this browse data by category. This is where you can download GIS data. And then below that, we have a series of online web maps that pertain to Kankakee County. And I'm going to show you this Kankakee County Ortho Compare map today. These maps are designed to kind of operate as it says on the tin. So we have a disclaimer here that kind of directs the user on how this application works. This is fairly simple. Initially, our most recent 2020 aerial photography is loaded onto the map. Then the user has the option of choosing the type of, or the date of past ortho imagery that the county has collected over on the right. You need to do this one at a time, obviously to compare, 2 years at a time. So I'm going to click through this and just use our 2003 imagery, and you'll see why here in a second. In 2003, our ortho imagery was in black and white. So I'm going to zoom in on moments. Everything outside of this little magnifying glass is from 2020. Inside the magnifying glass is from 2003. So you can just pan around and do quick comparisons. So if you have a certain area that you're interested in, you can do a quick comparison between those years.
Wow.
I'll make another quick note that in our oldest ortho imagery from 1999 was a selected area. Only the urbanized areas of Kankakee County were collected. So you can see the areas that were included in the 1999 ortho imagery. Everything outside of that remains the 2020. All right. I think that's all I have for you.
All right, yeah.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
This is a very useful tool for our code enforcement and zoning people to be able to compare the different aerial photos and see what a property had in the past. And we made it available to the public so that they could take advantage of it too. So.
Very interesting. So if you had a project that is there now and wasn't there before, you can see the development all around the project and see what's happened. So it's kind of nice. Thank you, sir. Anyone have any questions for him? That's all you had then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was Ben here to do the transportation?
Ben was here.
I saw him run out the door. I didn't know. We have our
Way back.
Okay.
Oh, rural transportation update. Mr. Wilson's here. Turn him on. You got the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name Kevin adjusted it down. I'm gonna move it up a little bit. Certainly, thank you for having me here. We're what's nice for this is, so essentially this is Q4 rural transit update, and so the calendar year that we work off of is a little different. So we work off the state calendar, so we're talking about July 1st being the first day of the year. So when we do the April to June, that's our fourth quarter, and that allows us to get year-end numbers. So when we bring to you the presentation in May, typically we have the kind of at the end of year work for the grant. So we receive between the two grants, we receive an allocation of about $166,000 for the Section 5311 federal transit, and about $1.1 million in downstate operating assistance program. And we utilize that, and I've got a couple quick numbers here for you, just to show kind of what dollars we use within that. For the year end, we spent $516,000 of that, and that's broke down about $40,000 in admin expenses, and then $470 in operating expenses. So kind of for a year's worth of transit cost, although we're receiving a grant. And I just trying to kind of make this point clear to this group, and whenever we talk about this program, we get far more grant dollars than we're able to utilize based on our match and kind of the ridership that we have. So we do have some existing service contracts with some local agencies that allow us to use some of their match. The county puts in some of those funds for matching, but kind of as the system grows and becomes more robust, we're able to utilize further dollars, and we would like it to see it where we would be able to better leverage the grant, certainly in coming years. But it's just something to keep in mind as the program comes through. So January 1st to March 31st, we did 5,500 trips. That was a 45% decrease over last year. We're still kind of feeling the pandemic pinch. And the costs are still a little higher than we would like to see them, because there are areas where we're still double busing. In order to offer the service to the residents of Kankakee County, we're still running sometimes 2 buses to an area, so that way we can maybe put 6 people on one bus, where previously we'd have 13 or 14 on a single bus. So and I actually received a call from one of our board members that just on a kind of an unrelated kind of church busing issue. And as we kind of work through the moving of busing, I just want when he asked me that question, I thought it maybe be helpful to talk to this group. There's no set limit of number of riders on a bus. If you had a family unit of 14, 14 people could ride on a bus. If you had 5 individuals who were not within the same family pod, then you could get 5 people on a bus in order to meet that distance requirement. So it does range a bit as to who we can, how many people we can get on a bus, and there's not really a hard and fast rule on that. So it's cost us a little more in the transit world because we are running those extra buses. Obviously, if you made a phone call and I said I have 3 people I want to take from my house to go shopping, we could say, well, if the 3 of you sit together, great, and then we get a little space between you and we move somebody else in there. So it does fluctuate a little bit, but we are doing those double rides. I just want everybody to be aware of that. Even though the rides are down, the costs are up in some ways. So.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? No? I had a quick one, Ben. Do you know ahead of time when people need rides? You call ahead, you were just saying that you could call ahead if you had a family that had to go somewhere?
Yeah,
with
so
the bus,
we,
okay. I know a lot of people don't know that, so I don't know.
So the Kankakee County Rural Transit System kind of has two pieces to it. We run a bus on the hour every hour from the city of Kankakee through Center River Terrace to Moments. And that takes 2 buses because it's about 75-minute round trip. So we're able to kind of double the buses up for that. But that allows people to get back and forth to kind of the Eastern Job Hub. We stop at 3 or 4 locations within Moments for pickup and drop off. And it is obviously busier at the beginning, before the start of a shift and after the end of a shift, but we do run that at all times of the day. In the event somebody would need a ride back home, you get a call from the school, the kid's sick, you can hop back on and come back to home, which works really well for that. And then we have a dial ride service. So this is for anybody within I would say within the county, outside of the urbanized area, can call our service and ask for a ride to go to anything, public transportation. And I know that people think about access to grocery and access to healthcare, but it's important for people to remember that this is just rides if you want to ride. If I drop my car off at the car dealership to get an oil change, if I go drop it off at Taylor, I typically walk down and hop on a bus and transfer over at the mall and get a ride right in front of Target there and hop off the bus. So anybody can ride it for any reason. And right now we're drivers are still wiping buses down. We're still, attempting to be safe. We did just recently receive the new mandate through the governor's office on mask or no mask, but transit still applies. Wear your mask on the bus. It's just the safe way to do it. But yeah, we're seeing some changes, and I think that hopefully with the recent conversation around kind of getting a little more back to normal, we'll see more ridership. So.
Okay. Ben, you had mentioned the grants before. Are they bound upon how many riders you have? How much you can get in grants? Is that what you would?
No, it's so what is convenient. The way the federal transit dollars is an allocation kind of based on population, so that adjusts with the decennial census. The Downstate Operating Assistance Program, DOAP program that we work on, is actually we receive an allocation, and I think there's a federal or a state mandate of a 10% increase annually. So it just kind of rolls into the 10%. But again, as a rural system, it's a little harder for us to use the dollars. Our mandate is tied to percentage of particular activities. So we can pay a certain percentage of an admin activity. We can pay a certain percentage of an operating activity to offer those rides. And so that's how our grant is limited, not necessarily by how many riders we offer rides to, but what that individual percentage per that activity is.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Wilson? Okay, barring none, thank you. Thanks, Ben. Have a good day. Anybody have any old business for the board? Anybody have any new business? I don't believe we do. So motion to adjourn, Mr. Kirkstra, seconded by Mr. Fairfield. All in favor, say aye.